Welcome to the hottest real estate topics on the planet, keeping you up to date with all the creative ways to buy and sell real estate without bank qualifying, so anyone can build real income starting today. Here is another great show with Dealmaker Bill and Pete the Rookie.
All right, here we are at another episode of Flipping Houses for Rookies, and I'm Bill the Dealmaker.
And I'm Pete the Rookie.
Pete the who?
Rookie.
Really?
I give up.
You give up? We're 64 shows in.
Yeah?
I was thinking that maybe if we can get somewhere around 100 shows, and you could probably flip, 10 houses, we could vote and see what the audience thinks, if you should be apprenticed or not.
Oh, now I have hope.
You have hope? Yeah. You got to do 10 houses.
Well, you have to have a hope of advancement in this world.
Right.
Getting somewhere.
If you really wanted to get to apprentice, you could bring me one big fat deal that has a lot of zeros at the end of it, and you might be able to buy me off.
I'm looking, Bill. I'm
You're
looking. Yeah, I'm looking.
I need one of those deals right now.
Okay.
One that really gets me excited. Not just an average deal, but like a big fat deal. I thought we had it the other day.
Which one?
The one we went to on Sunday.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a $300,000
profit.
That one.
Yeah. That was a lie. So, episode number 64. We'll come back to that.
Maybe only 100?
Yeah, we'll come back to that. Episode number 64. So, you ready for this?
Yeah, I don't even know what we're doing today.
You're going to like this. I have no idea where we're going with this, but we're going to start.
Okay.
Okay, ready?
As long as you have a title.
All right. Don't fall into the technical rat hole. Look at me.
Boing, boing.
Oh my God, that was funny as hell. I'm glad we videotaped it.
I'm not going to watch
your
this.
Your eyes rolled at the back of your forehead, and all of a sudden I saw like these things spinning around your head like little stars.
Well, you say
something.
Technical. That's all I need to get going. You know that.
It was just like when I was a kid watching a cartoon.
Boing.
And somebody got boing, and somebody got hit. I don't know, Roadrunner or something like that. You can tell
the show was not scripted or anything in advance. I had no idea what he was going to say until this moment. You saw it yourself.
Oh my God, that was hysterical.
I'm glad you're happy. It's my job. Entertain them, entertain you, make everybody happy.
Wow, that was
they may
hysterical.
not learn anything, but they'll be happy.
Anyways.
I'm just going to listen now. I have no idea where you're going.
So I was thinking that I wasn't sure what word to use. Should I use technical or tactical?
Well, they're different.
I know, but I wasn't sure which one we should talk about.
Well, I don't know what you're talking about, so I can't advise you
yet. So don't fall into the technical rat hole. So what I mean here is that analysis from paralysis from analysis.
Paralysis of analysis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know how people just want to study all the time? They want to get all the technical stuff. They want to get all the technical stuff. They want to get all the technical stuff. They want to get all the technical stuff, and they forget to do.
That's what they're saying, but that's not what's really happening, is it?
Right. They forget to do.
I don't think they forget. I don't think they forget.
Oh, so what is happening?
They're afraid.
Oh.
You didn't know that?
Tell me about this.
Okay. Well,
Pete, lay down on this couch.
No, you lay down on the couch. You lay down on the couch. Let's get an analogy. Let's do just a parable here.
We're back to cartoons now?
No, this is real life now.
Okay.
Say you're a musician, right?
Yeah. Uh-oh.
Right?
Yeah.
And you love music and you want to perform, you want to be in a band and all that. So you practice and you find some friends, you make a band, you rehearse, and you rehearse, and you rehearse, and you rehearse. Why don't you get out there? Oh, here, we can play for free at the library. I don't want to play for free. How about we can do this? I don't want to do that. What's happening is they're afraid to go out and do anything.
Okay.
They're afraid. Like maybe people can relate to being a speaker, public speaker. A lot of people don't want to get up in front of a crowd and speak. They're afraid.
Okay.
So this isn't not a completely unscary business, because if you don't know what you're doing, you don't know what you're screwing up.
Right.
So I think people are afraid to try some things. So they're afraid to take the first step.
Okay, so what are they afraid of? What is the actual fear?
The fear is they're going to do something wrong and lose money. They're going to get into something that they don't know how to handle, get out of, stuck with, paying out of their pocket, and everybody's going to go,
slow down. Whoa,
what's going to happen is, I don't usually get a chance to talk too much, so when I get a minute.
You said something. They're afraid of something, and then you said that they're going to lose money. So, so I got stuck at that point.
The something.
Yeah.
Because they don't know what it is either.
Oh. So at the end of the day, the real fear is they're afraid they're going to lose money?
Well, a couple things. Probably lose money, get stuck with something they don't know what to do, and keep losing money. But the worst thing is people are going to go, ha, 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 ha.
What people?
The people that found out that they were trying to do real estate, that they weren't telling anybody. Eventually they're going to find out, and they're going to criticize them and say, told you.
We have infomercial syndrome here.
What's that one?
Where you bought it off a TV in the middle of the night and it's just a scam and everybody tells you it's a scam?
Like it's the steamer to clean the bathtub and all that I bought that I never used?
Right.
Yeah, that one.
I can't tell you how many things I've bought off a TV and made a ton of freaking money.
Hey.
I bought a $39 course one time on how to do ads, classified ads. Yeah. And I applied it to my gas station at the time. I took my business from 16 or 1,800 clients to almost 9,000 in 18 months because of that $39 course.
I believe that everything works to some degree.
Right.
And I think you can learn something, even one thing, from anything you do. The difference is one guy makes it work, the other guy didn't. What's the difference? The guys. You have to make it work.
So you even work to some degree?
See, even you're laughing. You know I do.
Okay,
so these bags under my eyes.
So what's the difference between the two guys?
One guy's a doer, one guy's a complainer. I don't know. What do you think?
I know, that's why I'm asking you.
Honestly,
I'm on the couch. Remember,
honestly,
you told me to get on the couch.
Yeah.
So I'm listening.
Well, I think that some people just take the data they have and just do whatever they can with it and just try. And they just bang forward and just keep trying.
Right.
And the next guy, if it doesn't just fall in his lap, I mean, you might be thinking that the system or the book or the information will make you rich or make things work. No, it's you.
Right.
You have to use it. I mean, a diet, an exercise program, anything, you have to actually do it.
Right.
And I've seen people succeed with almost anything and fail with almost anything.
Okay.
So I think you just have to learn anything you can from it, move forward, and keep charging.
Right.
It gets frustrating and, not depressing, but a little frustrating sometimes that things don't just go as fast as you wish. Because you can think stuff awful fast. It doesn't happen as fast as you can think it.
Right.
So some patience and some hard work.
Well, how many?
What do you think, though? You're the one who came up with the thought here.
How many times have you had an idea in your head, and then actually implemented it into the physical universe, and it didn't go the way you thought it went?
Too many times, or I would say, in my case at least, that it just doesn't work as much as I hope it would.
Right.
I think things kind of work, but not as big and grandiose as I would hope for.
Okay.
But it's not like it doesn't work at all.
Okay.
But if it doesn't work enough, it's not thrilling.
Right.
It's still disappointing.
Right. So, okay.
And, but in there, that means some of the things didn't work at all.
Right.
The things you're trying, it's just nothing.
Right. So,
how am I doing with your show so far?
Yeah. You're doing fine. I
don't know where you're going.
I have a little bit of attention on that. Your mic has some sort of a feedback, and I'm afraid to tell Emma because she already yelled at me this morning about that.
Do you hear anything on your end, Emma?
It's like he's slapping his lips or something at the end. I don't know. It is kind
That's
of weird.
called slapback echo.
Slapback echo.
It was big in the 50s.
There you go. That's better. I don't even know what she did. She probably didn't even do anything. It's probably totally me. So, yeah. So. In the beginning of the year, do you remember the first meetup we did? Do you remember the name of it?
No.
Beginning of the year?
No.
Goals are for losers?
Oh, yeah. After After New Year's, everybody's making their goals. What I'm going to do all this stuff. And you come up with goals are for losers.
Goals are for
Why don't
losers.
you just say, hey, you're an idiot. all you people, the New Year's Eve, all of you, idiots.
So what was that? What was that lecture about?
I don't know. I was one of the idiots. No, I think your point was because Because I hear you talk about it different times. I think the way you presented it at that time was more like a goal is okay, but it's nothing on its own. It's just a goal. You have to back it up. You have to have a system to implement.
Right.
We have to break things down in pieces because you can't attain this lose 100 pounds today goal. You have to break it down in bite-sized chunks, organize it, do step by step, and just keep shoving.
Right.
Anywhere? Am I close?
Yeah, no, that's right.
Okay.
It's not a test.
No, I just
really
want to see. Just want to make sure I'm on the same show you are.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
So, so the thing is that, a goal is only as good as a system or the practicality of implementing it. Now, what's the system? The system is what do you do every day? Like when you wake up in the morning, what do you do? And then what do you do? And then what do you do? And then what do you do? So, in my personal belief system is if you're going to do something, implement it, then it should be like you should time block it. Like I'm going to do this between Monday afternoon from 3 until 6.
Mm-hmm.
It should be like an appointment as if you were going to the doctor's. And then at that point, now what I do is, I'm a little loose with it now because I've been doing it for years, which, by the way, probably the best book on planet Earth to read about this is Dan Kennedy's time management book.
Mm-hmm.
He does a wonderful job with it because he is a flippin' maniac at time management. He is like, he doesn't even have, I don't think they teased him because I think he just recently got a cell phone.
What?
Yeah, he has. He doesn't. If you needed to contact Dan Kennedy up until I think a few years ago, you had to fax. Now I think he lived in the middle of the country, and his personal assistant was in Arizona. So you would fax her what you wanted, and then maybe a few weeks later he would contact you.
That puts him on his own timetable for sure, but it doesn't seem efficient to me.
Well, it's very efficient because he's a writer and he talks to his clients obviously, but he's on his own. He doesn't have the interruptions, like we have. Emma teases me all the time because this morning we were working on Facebook ads, and my phone just keeps going ding 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 ding, and it's like there's text messages and clients, coaching clients and marketing clients, and I just got a lot going on. So it's too easy to get distracted from what I'm doing. It changes my thought pattern.
Yeah. Now,
sometimes when I'm doing copywriting and stuff like that, I just shut the phone off or leave it in the other room, so I don't get distracted. Because especially when I'm writing emails and stuff like that, I don't want to. I have a thought.
You need to focus.
So your real estate career is the same way. So for a very long time, my belief system is that if you want to do real estate, the first thing you should do is you should time block time. Now I say it's 2 hours a day, an hour in the morning and an hour at night. You could start with a half hour. It's just it'll take you a little longer to get going. Mm-hmm. But the point is that if you worked on your marketing for an hour a day and you worked on your people calling you or you calling your sellers for an hour a day. Mm-hmm. And in the beginning, if you don't have an hour a day to talk, if you don't have callers calling you, then you work on your marketing, right? And we've talked in many past shows about what to do for marketing. We just put together a ridiculous offer for $1 for 30 days. You can see all my marketing, and then it's $67 a month after that. Mm-hmm. I'm not here to pitch that, but that's where it is. It's at flippinghouses.com. It's Coaching 101. We're going to change that name because we're going to change it to Finding Deals. Mm-hmm. That's going to be its new name. By this time next week, I don't think Emma's changed the links yet. So, but right now it's flippinghouses.club/Coaching 101. And all my marketing and how to find deals is there.
That's where you begin.
Yeah, you need to find deals. So, if you just time block that. But what I mean by time blocking, you make an appointment with yourself and you don't let it be broken because something happened. Your kid spilt a glass of milk, or somebody else should be watching the kid while you're doing this. Let them deal with it. You know what I mean? I'm being mean, but it's just how you're going to run your life. It's actually amazing when you look. You got 168 hours a week, right? Mm-hmm. And if you break it down, we did it one show. We broke it down. on if you work 40 hours a week, and you have actually had, I think we came up with like 30 hours a week where you could do something else, even after spending time with family and all kinds of stuff. You know what I mean? It was pretty cool.
But if you don't put something in that, you'll put something in that.
Yeah, something will show up.
You have to decide what you're going to do.
Right. So, anyways, that's very important. The technical part of it, the technical rat hole that I'm talking about, is just, you're constant. It seems like a lot of people want to study everything. They want to be prepared for anything that happens. Like if somebody says this or somebody says that, and you don't have an answer. So it's almost like you were saying before, you're afraid. I think it's almost like an ego thing. Like your ego won't let you like fail. Like if somebody says, Pete, buy my house, and you're like, what do I do next? It's like an ego thing more than anything else. And I think that's where the fear comes from. I think it's just, that's what I see anyways on my end. You know what I mean? It's just
I can see that too. I mean, you could think that you have to appear like this ultimate professional,
right?
Like you know everything, or something bad's going to happen,
right?
But you've explained this, and this is the part that sticks with me because I've heard you explain it a few times. A professional has a team,
right?
Real CEOs, presidents of companies, they have a team. They're not expected to know everything. They're expected to be smart enough to put a team together.
Right.
So if they don't have an answer, you get one. As an instructor, I'm trained that if a student asks me a question, if I don't know the answer, I don't BS him. I say, you know what? I don't know the answer to that. Give me it. I'll find it. I'll get back to you. And they go, oh, that's cool. They think that's how honest.
Right.
How human. And, that's trustworthy then.
Right.
That's more trustworthy than bullshitting somebody.
Right.
And coming up with you could do this. People like that, right?
Right.
Well, how about, they make stuff up.
Sure.
And you can tell. And, you lose faith and confidence in them and you won't do business.
Right.
So I think it's better to just be honest. We have to. So you just find the answer. You've said that a few times. And that helped me because I had the problem like, well, what if? Well, so what?
Right. So you're trying to watch all the videos and you're trying to get all this training before you start. So it's almost like you have to have before you can do.
Yeah. Yeah. You have to have everything figured out before you start eating.
And that's just not true. So I will tell you the most, because I have a private coaching group too, right? That's I think 17 people right now, and I talk to them every week. Some more than others. It depends when they get a deal. Like I got a 21-year-old kid right now that just bought a house for $1.
He got the house?
Yeah. and it just he keeps texting me documents. He's trying to do a closing, and he texted me probably the other day. He must have texted me 10 times, which is fine. That's what I'm there for.
Yeah.
But he got through the deal.
Did he close?
I don't know. I haven't from a couple of days.
It's close?
Well, they're probably doing a title search. That takes a week.
Okay.
So,
all right, he's doing it.
But he's doing it. Yeah, he's definitely doing it. The point that I'm trying to make here is that what is that saying? The teacher will show up when the student is ready, or something like that.
Yeah.
So what I have found is
the student is ready. The teacher will arrive.
Yeah,
something like that. Yeah.
So what I have found is, I mean, especially this podcast. I mean, we've given away a lot of information. And I go back and listen to some podcasts, and I'm like, holy shit, that came out of my mouth. Was that my inside voice or my outside voice? And people actually buy houses. They send me emails saying that they bought a house because of the podcast, right? So it's the information is not what you need all the time. What you need is you need to be able to understand it, understand the information to a point where you could just start. So the strongest suggestion I make is that just like what I did with you, right? And I did the same thing with Jesse and many others, you guys are in the spotlight, is I told you, go do that, go get a list. I told you how to get the list and mail this letter exactly this way. And you started getting leads. Now, what happened to you when you started getting leads? What was your reality shift?
Like, what do I do now?
Right.
Right. But another thing that helped me tremendously that you got through to me early on, even, thank God, was that you're probably not going to make it all the way through to the end in your first attempt.
Right.
You know, you're not going to make the broad jump all 25 feet the first time you try.
Right.
It's okay. So you're trying to learn a system, learn a business. You're not going to wind up in Carnegie Hall the first week. So I took it as a learning experience. Like, okay, I know how to get the letters out now and have people call me. And now what do I do? Bill, what do I do now? So it took me a while to figure out how to talk to people reasonably well, but I worked on that part.
Right.
So everything you make it like step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if there's 10 steps, you're not going to make it to 10 the first time.
Well, you could.
You could. If you do write us, that'd be fabulous.
Right.
You know, but you could. You know, well, Tim probably will because you're helping him.
Right.
If you weren't helping him, he wouldn't.
Right.
He'd go bit, and he'd probably stop right now.
Right.
But
you're talking about Kyle.
Oh, it's Kyle.
Yeah, Kyle.
Okay, yeah, Tim's in LA. Yeah. Cincinnati, Ohio, Kyle.
Cincinnati, yeah.
Okay, good. But, you know, if I can get half the steps done, well, I've learned how to do that.
Right.
So I'll tackle stuff now that I'm not sure I want to even finish, but I want to know how it works.
Right.
So the next time I get a deal that's better, I can do it without fumbling and taking too long and losing it. Right. So I'm learning and learning and learning. And I got a few things done, and I'll get a few more things done.
And then once you get through the 10 steps, what happens is, and we're using this fictitious 10 steps. It's not really 10 steps. It's just an analogy.
It's 11 and a half.
Yeah. So once we get through the 10 steps, what you'll start noticing is you'll start picking up tidbits of information to make the 10 steps easier.
Oh, yeah. Well, just to get through each step, it takes a while to figure out what you should or shouldn't do, what's important, what's not important. And then the next time you can just do it easier, and then you have more data, maybe ask more questions,
right.
Do it better, do it faster. That's fine.
Right.
You wouldn't have known to ask the question in the first place.
Right.
It's fine.
So the interesting point that I want to make is that you just said something and I just lost my thought on it. Sorry. Well,
does it have to do
too many times these days?
Does it have anything to do with your title?
No. It'll come back. So I think what I wanted to do today is something we have not done for a long time. I mean, we're at 64 shows, so we're well over a year.
Yeah.
And we haven't done this in a long time. So what I want to do is I want to go over the 7 steps to make an offer, or the 7 offers that we make.
I thought that was what you were going to get at, because we haven't.
Just to review it.
All right.
Okay.
All right.
So here's the point that
that's the backbone of everything you do.
Right. So that's exactly right, Peter.
Yeah.
So here's the point that I want to make. There is no reason. Okay, so you keep saying that I'm there to help these guys. Well, if you're on this podcast, you can have that same effect. Now, there's 2 coaching levels. There's the 101, we call it, which we're going to call Finding Deals from this point forward, is on a Facebook page, and you can go there, and there are, I don't know, how many videos are there, Emma? She's not listening. About how many videos do you think are on the Facebook page? A guess for the Coaching 101 course.
A little over 2 dozen.
Yeah, so Emma's saying there's probably more than 2 dozen videos there.
Mm-hmm.
They're not long videos, but they're videos.
That's good. We don't like them that long.
Yeah, and we put them. Thank you, Emma. And we put them in steps.
So
there is plenty of freaking training there. Okay. And it's actually what we did is when we put one course there that we did at the Mohegan. You and I did an event at the Mohegan Sun with my private coaching group.
The casino.
For a long time, we didn't release that to anybody unless they were coaching clients.
Mm-hmm.
And then we just recently started this Facebook page called Coaching 101, and all those videos are in there. So if you go there, we offered for $1 for the first 30 days. It's time release information because I don't want people going in there and stealing my shit and then just not signing up. That's just common sense. I mean, so when you sign up for $1, you get some stuff the first week and then you get some stuff the second week. And if you want the whole enchilada, then just send us an email at info@flippinghouses.club, and we'll you pay us the $67, you can have the whole thing right away. And that's just because of the app we're using. They're working on that. The developer's working on that, but we can't do it another way right now. So the point is that once you know how to find leads, okay, once you know how to find leads, and I show you in that Facebook group what questions to ask once the seller calls you. Okay, so I show you what to do. I show you how to do it. And then it's just a matter of using one of these 7 offers. It really is that simple. It really is that simple. Okay? So you don't fall into the technical rat hole.
Mm. And what people may not believe is that when you do it, you will get quite a bit of calls.
Yes.
It isn't like you do it and then nothing happens, you sit and you wait and nothing happens. People call. I mean, there's some businesses where you try to do it and nothing happens, I suppose. I haven't never experienced that because I do reasonable promotion or marketing, just whatever I can make up. People will call.
Right.
Where you live are hundreds of thousands of people somewhere.
Right.
So somebody will call.
Right. May not be your ideal customer.
No.
You're going to have to go through the shaft.
Yeah.
You know, the shaft to get to the actual, you know, the needle in the haystack. But you only need one.
Yeah.
You know, so
These are big needles.
Yeah, if you take 20 phone calls and one person says yes, then that's all you need. Just get through the 20 phone calls. Which, by the way, to buy a house, you're going to have to make somewhere about 15 offers when you're I was going to say a freshman.
Yeah, well, that's about right.
When you're a rookie.
Same thing. A freshman rookie. A rookie freshman.
Yeah. So, you know, you're going to have to make somewhere around 15 offers. So that's probably the biggest hurdle I have is you know, when I have coaching clients, it's like, how many offers have you made? Well, I've only made 8. Okay, well, we got to make 8 more, you know. Now, maybe the first offer gets accepted. Maybe it's the 7th. Maybe it's the 12th. Maybe it's the 15th. Maybe it's a little bit more. But the thing you have to ask yourself is, how many offers am I making? That's the magic.
Yep.
Because my little slogan is an offer a day keeps the dead away.
You know, I read it the other day, and it's DEBT. I thought you were saying dead.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Because when you say it, the dead away, debt or dead, you know, it sounds about the same.
Oh.
Not just saying the dead.
Oh, debt.
Dead. Yeah, but just, you know, they sound about the same.
Yeah.
It's the debt. I get it now. It makes more sense.
Yeah. So an offer a day keeps the debt away.
Yeah.
Keeps the bills away.
The DEBT debt. Yeah.
So,
yeah, I'm having trouble with that now because the first few deals I got didn't take that many offers. I was working with you, but it still didn't take that many.
right.
And now it's, you know, I'm in a little bit of a dry spell of, gee, I should have had a deal by now. All right, just keep going. It's a little annoying. It is.
Right.
But come on. But any minute, you know, it can pop in your lap any second.
There's a law.
It's a law?
There's a law. Outflow begets inflow. We know that. So if you're not telling everybody that you buy houses in every possible chance you get, whether it's Facebook, emails, grocery stores, passing out business cards, it's like energy.
Oh yeah.
It's like how can I explain this? It's like radio waves. You know, it's around us. We're like fish in water, and we're saying, what water?
Yeah.
You know, energy's all over. We're in an energy pool. We create energy. We are energy. There's just energy everywhere. So what energy are you putting out? Good energy, bad energy. What message are you putting on the radio waves? You know what I mean?
Oh sure. I got yesterday I was thinking, damn, I need more music students. So I just did a couple of things I'm supposed to. I made my my postcards. I didn't even mail them.
Right.
The ring that came in from outside. Hello, can I have a lesson today?
Yeah.
From New Hampshire.
Yeah.
Yeah. She was just in town. So, I mean, it can happen that fast. But then the person I got before her, so what do you do? Well, I do the music lessons and I do real estate. Oh, I have a house in Windsor that's vacant. Really? So I've seen her twice. Next time I see her, I'll get a little more serious with the address because she doesn't know what to do with it. But it's a vacant house.
Right.
You know, it's typical. The mother had to move out, and she had to, you know, all that stuff. But it can be somebody right in front of you.
Right.
So might as well open your mouth.
That's right. So you start with that, obviously. But the other thing that I wanted to bring up is the reason why the mailing and the stuff I teach people works is because, you know, for a long time I spent between $7,000 and $9,000 a month for advertising. So I did a lot of stuff, and I probably did it, I don't know, 4 or 5 years. So I've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars in marketing. And the marketing campaign that I had you start with was the best the whole time. I mean, it had the best results. I've spent tens and tens and tens and tens of thousands of dollars to know what it does. And the most confounded thing to me is that I'll give somebody I'll give them my yellow letter, right, or the letter that I use.
Yeah.
And they
And
change
what
it.
happens, Bill?
They change it. I don't understand it. They just change it. And it's more than just a letter. It's who we're mailing to, because the magic of marketing is to have a message that matches your audience or your market. And the more you can do that, the better off you are. I mean, I'm blown away. Emma and I are testing Facebook ads, and I was telling you this morning about relevancy. I'm blown away I mean, we did our homework. I did my homework. Emma did a really good job with the videos and making everything match the audience. And it's like the response is just phenomenal. I have a coach that I'm working with. I told you, with Facebook stuff. Yeah. Because I'm like really into it lately. Because I think that's a way to buy houses. To be honest, that's going to be next. I'll be buying houses off of Facebook. But the point is that I'm just blown away at how good of a job Facebook does with audience segmentation. And when you understand that and you put the right message in front of the right audience, I mean, even though I preach it all the time, it's just one of those things where it's like it's just another place that statement is just 1,000% true. I just matched my message to my audience, and it's just all of a sudden it just blew up. Yeah, just blew up. So I've already created that for you, which is what we put in that group I was talking about. flippinghouses.club/coaching101. It's already there, so you don't have to reinvent the wheel. So let's move on.
That was your point. You were making a point that people do change it.
Yeah.
And
just amazing. Well, the point I was trying to make, that as well as, that we've tested it. It's not that I'm smart. I mean, I took somebody else's letter. It's not something and I just tweaked the shit out of it by testing it, and we just kept statistics and measured statistics and just got it to where it was the best. Yeah. I mean, it's everything. It's the lines in the paper, the ink color, the way they're written, the stamps. I mean, it's everything. It's just a science. But the point is it is a system. It is a system, and if anybody wants to plug into the system, then it works. I mean, I just had a coaching client leave, and the reason why they left is because I've been telling that coaching client for a year and they haven't done it. And all of a sudden, I'm getting all these new coaching clients, and they're doing it and having all these great successes. And that person finally said, well, actually said it on the last call they were on, that obviously it's me. After a year and change, they decided it was them, because they're like, I'm not doing that. And I'm not sure I want to do that. So that's fine. Now I don't usually have coaching clients leave. So now I'm making phone calls now because I have a couple slots open, so I'm going to fill those slots, but that's another story.
Yeah, but the people are getting are kind of, to me, amazing, because they've been hearing the podcast, they know what's going on, and you're 3 of them are all over the country. It's not our local people that we know. Right. They've never met you in person, but what's the difference? Here we are. Right. So they see what's going on, and they're doing what they're supposed to be doing.
Right. So I'm elaborating a lot on this because this is the system. And I'm not saying I'm the only one with a system. What makes me unique is that we send out our mail, or whatever marketing we're going to do. I like the mail the best, but there are other things to do for marketing, and I can share those with you someday. We get my philosophy is you only talk to the four steps. Talk to the 4 steps that we talk about all the time. Communicate to a motivated seller. Tell them what you do. We buy houses. Find out what they want and what they need, and then give it to them. That's like the thing, right?
Yeah, it's not what I want out of the deal.
Right.
You have to think what you want, but if you don't think what they want, you're not selling.
Right. But what undercuts
you're not buying.
That's right. What undercuts that formula is how do you find and communicate to a motivated seller, and that's what this is. And it sounds like I'm trying to pitch the coaching group, but the thing is that it's there. That's what I want people to realize is it's there. And I think it's underrated. I don't think I charge enough money for it because people don't take it as important. But I'm going to tell you, if you want to get into business the best thing to do, the first thing you got to do is you got to unscrew your head and realize that the way to do it is to get people to call you instead of you chasing them. In other words, a lot of people will go out and chase vacant houses. They think this house is for sale. They think the bank is desperate to sell a foreclosed house. They kind of have some, ideas that are their own ideas. They're not real ideas. They're their own ideas.
Yeah.
And they're the wrong ideas because they don't really understand yet.
Mm-hmm.
So the magic is to cast the net and get people to call you. That's the magic. Get people to call you because that will put you in business. That will put you in business. When you start getting people calling you and saying, I have a house for sale, it changes everything. Changes everything.
Now what do I do?
It puts you in business.
Yeah.
Right? Now, the Rathole part is now what do I do? You just said that. That's the Rathole part. So let's go over that now. What do I do? So you go through, let's say you were to go into the Facebook group and you watch all the, the couple dozen videos, which you don't have to watch all of them. Some of them, you don't have to watch all of them, but you watch the ones that matter.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And not that the other ones don't, but there's just a lot of information there. You know how I am. I over-deliver on the information, right? So what you do is you watch those videos and you actually get people calling you, right? And you need to figure out, which I go over this. These videos are in there. So the first thing you need to figure out is how much equity does that person have? Right. That's the first thing you need to figure out, and you'll know because you're asking the right questions. I give you the questions to ask, right? So how much equity they have, because at the end of the day, it's just this simple. The only thing that the person has control over, the seller has control over, is their equity. They don't have control over their mortgage unless they short sale it, which we don't recommend. Okay, short sale means that they try to pay the bank less than what they owe. So if they owe 150, they say the house is not worth 150. I want to give you 100. That's a short sale, right? Which is a process that's very long and arduous, and it doesn't always work. You have to have a pretty good reason, and most of the time you don't.
Yeah.
You think you do in your own head, but not to a banker.
Yeah, well, it's not worth it, so you should give me a break.
Right. Exactly.
You got money, you pay.
Yeah. So, so the first thing you need to do is figure. So they don't have control over the mortgage. They don't have control over the taxes. They don't have control over the insurances. They don't have control over the HOA fees of the housing, authority. The housing. What do you call it?
Homeowner
fees.
association. Yeah.
Thank you. And they don't have control over all that stuff. But the thing they do have control over is how much is their equity. Now, what is equity? Equity is, and this is a very, very misunderstood word, so make sure you listen to this carefully, because I actually took out the Essential Dictionary today by Thomas Hempel and Charles Hempel Jr. We bought these online. You found these online. The Essential Dictionary of Real Estate Terminology.
Yeah, I think I got the original one years ago at the bookstore, because I started to go to those workshops, the once-a-month workshops.
Right.
And as an educator, I know I want to understand what's going on. I would sit in a room with 30, 40, 50 people, and they start nodding out. So he'd say blah, blah, blah. They would go, huh? Right. And I'd grab the dictionary and oh, that's what he's talking about. And I was about the only one awake at the end of this thing.
Right.
So it's important to understand what's going on, so you don't go unconscious and not understand.
Right. So this says, it says equity in finance, the ownership or net worth of a person or firm. And then in parentheses it says total assets less liabilities. So equity is total assets less liabilities. It's a little tricky. It's a little vague for me. Because people will say, my house is worth $220,000 and I owe I owe $150. So I have $70,000 in equity.
Says who?
That's not correct.
Yeah, it says who.
The reason why is because is somebody going to write a check for $220? So the equity is based on how much money somebody's going to write a check for. Now you might put it on the market for $220, right? Yeah, all those thoughts just going through my head. It's just so much to talk about. So you might put it on the market for $220 and sell for $210, right? Did you sell for $210?
Well, you might have sold for 210, but then what happens?
Exactly. So now you have all your
you get
closing,
210?
You get all your closing costs,
Yeah.
which is between 12 and 13%, probably 15%, and we'll go over that some other time. But believe me, that's how much it is. I've done well over a few hundred closings, and it's always that way. It's between 11 and 14%, right? So the point is that so now you got 210, and then you take, well, let's just say it's 10%. That's 21,000, right? I mean, how hard is it to get 10%? Realtor's going to take 6%.
Sure.
Right? You're going to have 3% just in closing costs. I mean, it's 1% or 1.25% just for conveyance tax.
Yeah.
And they got to pay the attorney. I mean, so you're already at 9%. And we haven't talked about negotiating because you're not going to get your full price. And we haven't talked about the inspection and repairs that you're going to have to do to get the house closed. Right? So, hello, you're going to hit 13, 14, 15% without even thinking about it. Okay? So the point is that the equity is the amount of money you're going to get, you're going to receive, minus what you owe.
So that's what you're really going to get, not
Right.
what you think you get, what you deserve, or what you
or
wish.
what it's worth.
Yeah, worth. I mean, worth is what the worth is what the buyer thinks it's worth.
Right. So when you're talking to a buyer, you have to educate them on what are they really going to get.
A seller.
I'm sorry, the seller.
Yeah.
When they really get, you have to educate
But they don't
them.
think of that. You were just talking to somebody the other day, like a professional in the business. Oh, yeah, I didn't think of that. Like, he's a professional in the business.
Yeah, my money guy, yeah.
Wow.
So my point is that once you figure out what their equity, their true equity is, okay, so what they did is they called us. We cast our net. Somebody raised their hand and said, yeah, I'd like to make an offer. I'd like to get an offer, because realize that's the first thing the seller wants is an offer. He doesn't want a buyer. He wants an offer. And if you got a $200,000 house and I offer you $100,000, what are you likely to think?
I would think, oh crap.
I don't want that offer.
No, but you start worrying, like, is my house not worth something? Or is this guy just wacko? I need to get some more offers to see if what I'm thinking is real.
Right. So that's what every seller wants is they want offers so they can get the best available price for their house. So when they call you, that's your obligation is to give them an offer. Now, we hold off on the offer until we get everything we want. Like all the information, we go look at the house, we qualify them, we qualify the house. There's a lot, and then we give the offer. So one of the things you need to know is giving the offer at the right time is important. So timing is everything. You don't give the offer when you're on the damn phone talking to them. How many coaching clients I have do that. And then they tell me, including you, and they tell me,
not.
yes, you do.
I do not.
Yes, you do. and they tell me that they don't have deals. When they really do have deals, they're just tipping their hat way too soon. Okay? So the bottom line is that there's a certain time when you got to give an offer. Okay? And sometimes you do spring it on them. If they're a suspect, you give it to them early. Smack them with it. You just bam. You want $100,000? That's what I'll give you. If you want to come out and take a look at it, and you just smack them because they're a suspect. All right. So we get through all that, and we decide that they are a prospect, and we decide this is a house that we're looking for. It qualifies. It's not dysfunctional or anything like that, right? So the next thing you're going to want to do is figure out how much equity they have. Okay. Once you know how much equity they have, you use one of the 7 offers to pay them that equity, because there's another factor here. It's not how much equity they have; it's how much do they want now. So let's say that they got a free and clear house, right, and they're asking $200,000, right, but they're not willing to take anything less than $160,000.
Okay.
Right, because of repairs and all the cost and everything. So they're not willing to take. So, but the house is free and clear. They can take $1 if they want. Right,
because they don't owe anything on it.
Right.
They don't have to pay any. They have no other liabilities. They don't have to pay the bank, so they could.
So they have a lot of equity. But what are they willing to sell for? Now that's a different story. So first you find out how much the equity is, then you find out how much of that equity they want. Right? So there's 2 different things there, and that gets missed a lot.
Is there also a part of if they need something to do something?
Whatever. They still want it. So they may want it. I mean, like we bought a house on Saturday. I say we bought a house because the lady keeps calling me, wants me to come do the paperwork with her, and I've blown her off for a week and a half, which is motivated to me. Okay.
Yeah, when she calls you.
We're going out to do the paperwork on Saturday. And it's exactly what the point is that she needs money to go live somewhere else. So she's found another place for her and her daughter, and all that stuff. We've been working on this deal for months, right? So the point is that she has a free and clear house. It's worth $280,000 or $290,000, and I'm paying like $170,000. Okay, but she needs that money. She's got a tax problem. She's got, like she owes like $20,000, and she needs money to move.
Yeah.
What motivated her? Out of that whole thing, what motivated her? She needs the money to move because she's ready. In her mind, she's ready.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't pay less than $170,000. I tried. So she was willing only to take $170,000. So she had a lot of equity. She had $260,000 worth of equity.
Well, what about the liabilities?
She owes $20,000.
Oh, okay, just 20 altogether. Yeah. Okay.
Actually, more than that. She owes $20,000 in tax, so she owed $40,000.
Okay.
So, anyways, I'm belaboring this because it's one thing of how much equity they have. It's another thing on what they're willing to take. So that comes down to salesmanship, or whatever you want to call it. It's just salesmanship.
Yeah, it's work. Well, I've seen you do it many times. You're working with the person, though. You're negotiating, you're discussing, and you're trying to be fair to them and yourself.
Right.
It has to work for both parties.
Right. So once you get to that number, now what you do is you use one of the 7 offers to pay them what they're asking. And here's how it works. So offer number 1 we call a slot deal intentionally, because when we first started, mostly me, it was my humor, which is not good because I'm an Englishman and my humor is very dry and horrible, which is the reason why I bust your chops so much about your bad jokes, because it's probably my humor more than your jokes, but we already know that. So bottom line is this. A slot deal has no equity. Okay? No equity.
They owe what it's worth.
The loan-to-value ratio is 100%. And a slot deal is called a slot because it's an acronym for sandwich, lease, option, transaction. Slot. Sandwich, lease, option, transaction. And the reason why we joked around with it is because you literally put $10 in a slot machine and get out 10,000. That's why we call it a slot deal. Okay. And technically, what happens, and this is a very easy thing to understand, if a person owes $100,000 on the house, and like we just said, if they got to pay 10, 12, 13%, that means that they're only going to come to the thing with $80,000, $85,000, which means they can't sell the house because they probably don't have $15,000 to put into the house,
right,
or put into the closing. So what do? So their only choice is to walk away and let them foreclose, and that's ugly and dark.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, they could do that, right? Or they could talk to us, and what we do is we promise them a delayed cash out. So a delayed cash out means that we're going to go find a buyer. Okay.
Yep.
The next piece of information that we need to tell you is, out of the buyers, 81% of the population is not financeable at this current time. And I'm talking about the United States. 81% of the United States is not financeable.
They can't get a loan.
Right. 19% is. So that means if you got a house in the MLS, okay, or with a realtor, they're chasing 19% of the market. So we're going to go after the 83% of the market, because we're going to sell that house and say, house for sale, no bank qualifying. Right?
Yep.
And the way we're going to do that is they're going to come give us a deposit, because there are people that either have bad credit, or there's a lot of people right now. I got to tell you, this is the biggest reason why people can't get finance is because they're self-employed and they don't have enough tax credation to go get a loan, and they need to work on that. Now, maybe they're cheating on their taxes because of cash, or maybe they're new, or what, they just need to up their income. Their first year was low, their second year was good, so the first year doesn't count. There's a whole bunch of reasons why that happens, but the way corporate America is going, there's a lot of self-employed people now, right? And so those loans are harder to get, and thus the 81%, okay?
But they have money.
They have money. So what we'll do is we'll sell the person that house by leasing them the property for 2 years and giving them an option to purchase, okay? So technically we didn't buy a house, because from my seller, I went to them and said, I will give you an option on the house for $100,000.
It's an option to buy.
An option to buy.
Mm-hmm.
And when I find my buyer, he will bring $100,000 to the closing table, and I'll get you out of this mortgage, and you're not underwater. I will save you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But the only thing is that the delayed cash out, it's going to take me 2 years to do that.
Mm.
So if you're willing to let me make the payments while we're waiting, then I can do that. And most lunge at that.
They can get out.
Right.
Yeah.
So you're going to give say $100 consideration or money to the seller to bind the contract that says that you have a right to buy this house at $100,000.
Mm-hmm.
So technically, you just bought equity into this property. It's kind of like stocks, calls and puts and all that. You bought an equity share in this property. Now you're going to take that piece of paper and you're going to sell it to your buyer for $10,000. So your buyer is going to pay $110,000 for the house. And you say, why would he pay $110,000 for a $100,000 house? Well, first of all, the numbers in $100,000 is it's a little strong. You don't usually get 10% down, but it is possible. Okay. The point is, usually we get 3 to 5% down.
I had a guy willing to put $40,000 on a $200,000 home. He had it sitting there, but he had bad credit. But he had the $40,000.
Right. Exactly.
He had $400,000.
Right.
Bad credit.
Yeah.
Don't ask.
Right.
It happens.
So the point that I'm trying to say is you bought the option agreement from your seller and sold it to your buyer for $10,000. So you bought it from your seller for $100 and sold it to your buyer for $10,000.
Now, why would he pay more than the house is worth?
Because he knows that he can't get financed, and usually the wife wants a house, or there's some desire to own a house, school system, whatever, and they're willing to do that.
And if he doesn't, he's just going to keep paying rent anyways, right?
He's going to spend that $10,000 anyways.
Oh, way more than that even. Yeah. So it's the lesser of evils for him, and he can finally get out.
Right.
So we're helping him too then.
And it's chance, yeah. So we're helping the seller because they're selling a house they can't sell, and we're helping the buyer because he's buying a house he can't buy, and we make So what happens if you only make $5,000 or $3,000 or $6,000 or $10,000? How much you got into it? You only got $100 into it. And by the way, how much risk is there? So do you have to be afraid of losing $100? If you do, shut your podcast off now. You're on the wrong one, okay? Because I spend that much for dinner with my wife.
That's right.
Okay. Matter of fact, I don't think there's anything I do with my wife that doesn't cost less than $100. Okay? So if she's listening, I'm going to get slapped tonight.
No, she's going to go, my husband spends at least $100 on me anytime I want.
Exactly.
She thinks it's a great thing.
So the only thing you have invested is $100. You don't have the deed in your name, so there's no risk. You don't have to worry about the tax man. You don't have to worry about anything. All you have to do is just put the paperwork together. You take the $10,000 deposit. So if I sold it to my buyer for $110,000 and he gives me $10,000 deposit, how much does he owe?
$100.
How much do you owe the other guy?
$100.
There you go.
They're even.
And
hey, where's that $10,000 go, Bill?
Yeah, in Hip National Bank.
Baby.
My pocket.
Yeah, of course.
So you get that.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's a slot deal. All right. And that's no equity.
Yeah.
Now, if you have 10% equity, you can do an option deal, which I just explained to you is the same exact way as a slot, except there's no lease. Okay, so you buy an option for $100, you go to the market, and if you have an option for $160, you go sell it for $170. Excuse me, much like a realtor.
Yeah, and that guy can get a mortgage. He just gets the mortgage.
Just gets a mortgage, and you sell the house. Now, why can you do this and not have a realtor license? Because you are part owner of the equity. You own the house, so you don't. When you have an option agreement, you have an equity share, and because you're part owner, technically on the deed, although you don't usually record the options, you are part owner, and you can sell the house and not have to be a realtor, and you can make as much money or as little money as you want.
Are there circumstances where that's more advantageous to the seller than just getting a realtor?
Yeah. Probably in most cases when you want to do that, like it's August right now, and they may not want to go until December. They want to like we have a deal like that. I have a student like that. They want to sell the house. They want to know that the house is sold. They want to do everything, get rid of it in their mind, but they want the kids want to spend Christmas in the house, so they're going to stay till December. So it's just a perfect way to do that. Okay. So that's if they have 10% equity. If they have 15% equity, which is 85% loan to value ratio, you can do a lease option. Now, the difference between a lease option and a slot deal is on a slot deal, you don't stay in the deal because there's no cash flow. The payment is $1,500, and the seller's payment is $1,500 a month, and the buyer's paying $1,500 a month.
Mm-hmm.
And a lease option deal, you have 15% worth of equity, and there's cash flow on the payment.
Right.
So in that particular case, you might say you're buying a $100,000 house for $85,000. Okay, you're leasing it for $85,000 with an option, and your payment might be $1,200 a month, and you sold the payment for $1,500 a month. So there's $300 a month in cash flow.
Yeah. I usually say it worked that way, but can it be the other way where sometimes a slot deal there would be cash flow and a lease deal there really isn't just because the numbers turn out that way? Can it happen that way?
Anything can happen.
Yeah. So it could. So you could get a 85% that maybe there isn't a cash flow, so you don't stay in the deal.
Yeah.
So
I don't personally do that, but you could do that. Yeah. Those are decisions.
Because at least you have equity in it,
right?
If nothing else. Okay. At least you have equity, and that's the thing.
Right.
You got something.
So,
you have a reason to stay.
Right.
Okay.
So lease option is 85% loan to values, and it's got 15% worth of equity.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the third way. So which, by the way, any of these have any risk?
Not yet, because if it doesn't work, you just you do the option for 90 days or something, and then if it's over, it's over.
Did we need to go get a private lender for any of these?
No.
Did we need to have anybody check our credit for any of these?
No.
If the deal pisses or goes wrong, did we have to worry about risking anything?
No, that's the part that sounds like a realtor. If they don't sell your house, they say, sorry, it didn't sell, see you later.
Right.
You know, I might not be happy about it, but no one's making any promises.
Right. So, again, we're talking about the technical rat hole. We're taking all that away. There is no rat hole here. Just do what I'm telling you to do here, and I'm not just saying it's because I'm saying it. It's just because I've done this hundreds of times between myself and students. It's just this is how it goes. Okay, so the fourth one, so we're down. So the third one is lease option.
Yep.
So the first one was a slot deal. Second one was an option deal. Third one was a lease option.
Mm-hmm.
The fourth one is a subject to or getting the deed.
Yep.
Now, what that means is the owner deeds you the house, and the mortgage stays in their name, and you are agreeing it's subject to their mortgage agreements. So if they're paying 85% interest, you got to pay that. Okay. Yeah.
What?
Yeah, I'm just joking around. So,
got my attention. What? No.
So I will tell you.
Oh, hey, what's the equity, the loan to value on this?
80%.
80
and 20% equity.
Okay.
So, so there's a whole show that we can talk about just subject to and due on sale clauses. I'm going to tell you, out of the 7 ways that I buy houses, this is one of the safest ways to do it. Okay, and if you understand how we do it, you would be like, oh my God, that's amazing. I don't want to explain it now because we're almost at an hour and I want to get through this. So if you have questions about subject to deal, or if you have questions about any of these, just go to flippinghouses.club. And I have videos. There's 10 videos to explain every single one of these deals. Okay.
And I may add, because I've seen this live in the houses, that there's a certain circumstance where people wind up that the deal you're saying, any one of those is really good for them. So like, who would do that? You wind up in a situation where that's just really the right thing, and you go, yeah, please do it. And they really like it because that's what they need.
Good.
Yeah.
So number 1 is slot. Number 2 is an option. Number 3 is a lease option. Number 4 is subject to or getting the deed.
Yep.
Getting the deed is its real name. Subject to is a nickname.
And then subject to what?
Yeah. Subject to the underlying mortgage.
Yep.
So number 5 is rehab retail. I'm not even going to talk about that because HGTV has already taught everybody how to do that. Their numbers lie, but the rest of it is good.
And the percent loan to value on that?
That's 70% loan to value, 30% equity. Okay, and believe it or not, even though it's 30% equity, if the house needs repairs, it's less than that. It's usually 40 or 50% loan to value ratio.
Sure.
But we use 70%. Okay. By the way, number 5, rehab retail, is the number. The house could be totally pretty and not need a nickel worth of work. If I make a cash offer, I use that formula. So it's not just ugly houses. If it's a pretty house and they want cash, I use the Mayo formula, maximum allowable.
Sure. That would make sense. If there's no renovation, that's still the numbers. 70s where it's like your starting point. Yeah.
So All right, so we went through 1, 2, 3, 4, and we're on 5. So 5 is the first place we needed money.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Sure.
Because even on the subject to deal, if they wanted money, like suppose they had a $200,000 house in a subject to deal, right? And they owed 120 and they want 20 grand, okay? And you're allowed to pay up to 160. That 20 grand could be put on a second note on the house and you pay them when you sell it. So you don't even need money there, unless it needs repairs. That's another story. Okay? So we went through the first 5 deals. We didn't need a private lender. We didn't need to have anybody check our credit. We didn't have any risk because we just don't have risk, right? The subject to you will because there's a deed there, but you're so far, there's so much equity there that it doesn't hurt. Okay? So the point is where's this fear come from? It's because you're down the technical rat hole.
Well, I bet a lot of people don't know anything about the first 4 type of deals until they start listening and really learning the business.
Right.
All they see is the shows on TV.
Right.
Where do they get the money?
Exactly.
Well, they flipped a bunch of houses. How'd they flip the first one?
Yeah, exactly. So number 6 has 60% loan to value and 40% equity. Okay. And that's a wholesale deal. That's where you buy it. You actually take it under contract and you sell your contract to somebody else. So you don't need money for that. Okay. So far, the only place we needed money was on retail rehab. The last one is number 7, which is they own the house free and clear. Okay.
Yep.
In that case, you can do any one of the above deals.
Yeah. What's cool about your system, the way you have it in sequence, whichever one loan to value ratio the house is, you can do that or anything higher.
Right.
Because it's gravy at that point. If it fits the person's needs.
So if somebody has a 70%, if somebody has 30% worth of equity, that means we can do a retail rehab deal or a cash deal. But if they're only willing to take 85%, then we have to do a lease option.
That's the number for that.
And
That's
one
the loan to
above
value.
it.
Yeah. It took me a while to figure out that that's actually how much you can offer. I knew that percentage mean you could do that deal.
Right.
But that's the most you can pay for it is that 85% or 80 or 70 whatever.
Right.
That's the number to pay.
Because that's what they're willing to receive. Doesn't matter how much. But first thing you got to do is you got to separate how much equity do they have.
Yeah.
Because now you're going to talk about the equity. You're not going to talk about how much. So I'm negotiating with somebody, right? And I'm negotiating. I'll give you a classic. I'll give you a great story. So I had a guy that I was negotiating a few years ago, a house here in Wallingford, and he wanted 120 grand for the house. So when I asked him, and it was like a $160,000 house or something like that, and I asked him how much and what, and we went through the whole thing, right? He wanted 120. So I said to him, okay, well, how come? Well, because I got a problem. I got to pay, these bills. Okay. So I sat down with him at a Dunkin' Donuts, and I took a piece of paper out and I said, give me the bills. What are the bills? How much are they? Where do they go? So we wrote out a list of all the bills, and it was like 10 grand, right? He didn't know it was that much. He thought it was 8 grand. Okay. So we added it all up, and there was okay. So if I were to give you 10 grand, would and pay the house off, would you sell me the house? No. Okay. Why not? I want 20 grand. So he wanted 10 grand extra. Okay.
Can't blame him.
Right. So I said, okay, so if I give you 20, if I buy your house and you get 20 grand, will you sell me the house? Yes. Okay, good. So he says he's like, so I'm thinking I got to pay 140,000. So I'm like, okay, because he says he owes, well, I'm sorry. I forgot how it went. It was 120. He was asking 120 because he thought he was going to get 20.
Yeah.
Okay. I said, you got a mortgage statement? He goes, yeah. So while we're at Dunkin' Donuts, he brought a mortgage statement because I told him to bring it. And before he came, and we called the mortgage company, and he owed $80,000. So I took over the $80,000 subject to, and I gave him a check for 20 grand, and I owned that house for 13 months, and I sold it and made $78,000.
I like the numbers, Bill.
But it was because I negotiated the equity, not the sale of the house. Because he was confusing the sale of the house. Most people don't know what it costs to sell a house, and they're stuck on that price that the realtor gave them. Right? So What I'm telling you is very important. You negotiate the equity, not the sale of the house, because the equity is the part that the person can control. So once you know what the true equity is, which is what you're willing to pay and what they're minus their liabilities, right? Once you know what that is, then all you got to do is figure out which one of the 7 ways are they willing to receive that equity with. Mm-hmm. Are they willing to do it in a lease option? Are they willing to do it in an option, in a slot deal? Are they willing to do it free and clear? Are they, free and clear, you buy a house and they hold a mortgage for you. They hold a note for you. Mm-hmm. And that's the best. That's the best of it all, because it's the most profitable because of the way we structure deals. Mm-hmm. And we don't have time to explain that. But if you go to flippinghouses.club, you can get the videos. There's 2.5 hours worth of videos, 10 videos. They're broken up in segments so you can watch them. And I explain the actual math of how all this works. And if you think for 1 second you want to buy and sell houses, if you never look at me again or never hear me do anything or never talk to me again or never do anything, at least go watch those videos, because they are eye-opening. I never realized that until I started showing people, and it was like, feedback is just phenomenal.
No, we have no idea of that stuff. Mm-hmm. It's not common. You don't see it on TV. Realtors don't know it.
Right.
I just was working with my new broker, and he's asking me, how does it work? And they don't do that. They don't understand. Right. And the last person, I think you talked last week, with one of our students.
I have a guy that lends me money.
The other story, you were talking, you went in the house with one of our students, actually just a person that comes to our meetings, and the guy was blown away. Like, you can do that?
Right.
You can do this kind of a deal? How can nobody tell me that? He couldn't get out of this house.
Right.
He's stuck with this house, and a tenant. He's stuck.
Right.
And you showed him that, and she was, the lady that comes to the meetups, like, who found the house and we're helping her. She was like really impressed.
On the presentation.
And the presentation, how you helped the guy, how you explained it, and help, just be helpful to him. And the guy was blown away. He'd never heard of that before.
Right.
So, yeah.
You want to hear something really stupid?
Sure. Go wait in the show. Yeah.
This is really stupid.
Yeah.
So I have 2 houses that I was planning on closing on this week, doing deals on this week.
Buying or selling?
Buying.
Yeah.
I have 2 houses that I was planning on buying.
Yeah.
There's one in Plainville and one in Middletown.
Yeah.
I completely, absolutely, totally freaking forgot about that house you're talking about right now.
Which one?
The house you're talking about right now.
Yeah.
Totally forgot about the house.
Yeah.
Guy went on vacation.
That's
It's
right.
been off my radar for a week. Completely forgot that next week I'm going to buy that house.
Yeah, don't worry.
Completely didn't remember.
Don't worry.
I totally didn't remember that.
I remembered.
That's weird, isn't it? But that's what happens when you have a lot of deals to work on.
Yeah, well, I don't. So that's the next deal coming my way, actually, because we're working on that together with her. So, yeah.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah.
I forgot about that, too.
Oh no! Well, we didn't forget the deal
Okay,
split.
no problem.
No. But even on working out the ranges, we worked it out. It's fine. I forgot if you let her make the offer, but anyways, we worked it out, so it's equitable that we all work on it.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah,
so
that's
let's
coming.
summarize.
But that's a lead. That's a. We're doing a slot on that.
That's a slot deal. Yeah.
Good. Yeah, he's thrilled.
Yeah. So let's summarize now, okay? So here's what I'm telling you. How do you stay out of the technical rat hole? This is how you stay. Just follow this system, and it's very easy and broken down in the flippinghouses.club/coaching 101 group. It's just the only way that I could teach it to a lot of people is on Facebook, because Facebook not only for $67 a month, not only do you get all my marketing ideas, but then you get and how to do it step by step. There's no question about how to do it there. We break it down, and you will have no trouble. But if you do have trouble, you go into the Facebook private group and you ask questions, and you're in there, I'm in there, Jesse's in there, Emma's in there. We have 4 of us constantly monitor that, and we answer the questions almost immediately. Okay? Plus, when we get done with this podcast, we actually go over there into the Coaching 101 group, and for a half an hour, and we'll stay an hour if we have a lot of questions, but we'll answer on the podcast live. We actually go in there once a week on a live stream, and we answer any questions that anybody has, right? So how could you go wrong with that? So you cast your net.
Don't start. How about that? Don't start.
So you cast your net and get people to start calling you, and we show you how to do that in Coaching 101, which is soon to be called Finding Deals, okay? So you go into the Finding Deals section, and you cast your net. Then once you cast your net, and this is all in the Finding Deals section, it's all there, okay? You cast your net, people start calling you. You figure out who's a prospect, who's a suspect. You qualify the house by going out to look at it. You sit down with the person and do a presentation of some sort and find out how much equity they really have. And then depending on how much equity they have and what they're willing to take, not only how much they have, but what they're willing to receive, you then proceed to make one of the 7 offers. And it does not matter. I think in my career, I've probably less than a handful of times said, I can't buy the house. I don't have a solution for the house. Kyle is the only one. He just recently did it.
What?
Kyle, on my coaching client.
Yeah?
Yep.
What?
I told him, I can't help you buy this house. He says, what do you mean? I said, it's a freaking $1. Just go give the lady $1. There was nothing for me to talk about. There's no strategy. There's no nothing. Just go write a purchase and sales contract. Go give her $1.
Yeah.
That's the strategy. You know what I mean?
Give her 2.
Yeah, exactly.
One in a box of donuts.
Yeah, exactly. So the point is it's just you follow that system, and you don't need to go down some technical rat hole trying to figure out what to do, how to do it, right? And that's it.
Yeah. And my 2 cents is, don't worry if you can't figure the whole thing out. Just do the next step. If you don't finish the thing, that's fine. You've learned a lot. You'll get the next one. Because you'll put too much pressure on yourself.
Pete, there is no more excuse, because honest to God, I work my ass off. You know it. I work my ass off. I work a long time. I work long days, almost 7 days a week. So do you. Between the support tickets, you go to flippinghouses.club and you hit a support ticket. You email me at info@flippinghouses.club. You go to the Facebook groups. There's Flipping Houses for Rookies, and there's Coaching 101. There's 2 Facebook groups. There is no reason for you to get stuck. There's no reason. And I am very generous with that stuff. The worst case scenario is if you pounce on me for too many times, I'm going to tell you go to get in one of the coaching groups, right? And I'm going to help you. And it's usually because you have a deal. So my philosophy is go find a deal and then use that money to pay for your education, right? Because you're going to have to pay money for education. And just use that money.
Yeah.
And that's just the system. So there is no technical loophole. It has been worked out for you. All you need to do is just decide to follow the steps and just do it. It's really that simple. You know, and are there going to be hiccups? And yes, of course. But if you cast your net far enough and you have enough fish in your net, it doesn't matter if you lose 1 or 2. It just doesn't matter because something will happen. The only thing that's going to happen is life's going to get in your way, and you're not going to do it. The train will derail, and you won't do it. And that happens to all of us, even me. It just happens.
Just get back up on the train.
Yeah, just pick it back up and put it on track. Okay?
Yep.
Okay, so here we are at a 45-minute show that turned into an hour show that's now an hour and 12 minutes. So we need the boogie. I hope that was very informative today. I hope that we were clear on what to do. We're really working on making sure there's no self-deprivating. We read that comment this morning.
Oh, the old one?
Oh, yeah. So here we go. Let's do some housework here, which most of it we did during the show, but just before we end off. First thing I would like to do is I need to do more of this. I really, really feel like I pour my heart out on these podcasts, and I would like some exchange from my listeners. I would like for you to go to flippinghouses.club/podcast and click on the iTunes link and go give me a review. We have people that have been giving me reviews, but I would like some more. Okay? I just want to know if people are listening. I know that we have a lot of downloads, but I want to know what people think.
Well, that'll help us too if you give us feedback.
Help us how to run the shows.
Yeah. What do you need to hear more of, less of? Something we're not covering? What do you need?
Right. So just go give us a review, whatever it may be. So if you go to flippinghouses.club/podcast, just click on the iTunes link on the top right-hand side and give us a review. Okay? It goes right to the review page. So I would really appreciate that exchange. I feel like I give a lot of information here. I'm 64 shows in, and if you've been listening to all these shows, you know that there's a lot of content here. Just take the time, 2 minutes to go give me some feedback, please. Okay? The other thing is you can reach us, obviously, if you want the coaching. We talked about a lot today. If you want to find deals and want help doing that, go to flippinghouses.club/coaching101. Next week, that will be called flippinghouses.club/finding deals.
But Coaching 101 will still link to it.
And Coaching 101 will still work. Okay? So if you want to like find deals and get help, there's plenty of support there. I just explained all that. You can go there. And then in the end, if you want to get just our videos and not pay anything and not be involved in anything, you can go to flippinghouses.club and you can get the 10 videos there.
Mm-hmm.
And that site is being changed, so just be patient with us because I have a webmaster working on it. We're changing, make some changes. I got too many complaints; it was hard to use, so we're dumbing it way down. Not dumbing it, but making it a lot simpler.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so there's no reason for anybody to say they don't have help because I haven't asked anybody for the $30,000 check yet. I'd like to, but I haven't. Okay, and I know you'll need to do that in other arenas. So you can get a lot of that material right here.
Mm.
So, okay, Peter. Whew, that was a rough one. A lot of work.
It's a good show.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for your help.
Mm-hmm.
So we're over and out. We are going to jump over to the closed Facebook group and answer questions for those that have questions about finding deals and actually getting started with casting their net. So we're going to be over there. So if you want to jump over there with us, just go to facebook.com/coaching101. All right, guys, over and out. Have a good week. We'll talk to you next week.
Thanks for tuning in to the hottest real estate topics on the planet with Bill and Pete. If you want to continue learning how to buy and sell real estate without money or credit, head over to flippinghouses.club for some cutting-edge real estate wealth tools. Or contact us at info@flippinghouses.club.